And welcome to another edition of Real Talk. And Alyssa's laughing at me already.
Why does this happen every single time?
We're going crazy in here. We were trying to get the lighting going and everything like that. We have an awesome guest. So why don't we first, before we introduce our guest, we've never clarified what Real Talk really is about.
Yeah, we did. I did last.
Did we?
Yeah. I think maybe you should tell everybody what it's about this time.
Real Talk is real. No, the purpose of Real Talk is to really highlight those people in the community that are making a difference, that are doing things that are above the average or the ordinary. And which brings me to the reason why we have our guest here. We have Mr. Doctor?
We have Doctor.
Where did Doctor come from?
Dr. Vibe.
Dr. Vibe.
Really? Why are you making it so complicated?
Right?
So,
He complicated everything for no reason.
One day you'll see the outtakes reel, and that's, I mean, they're going to sell
Well, this
it
is live,
because-
This
remember?
is the outtakes reel.
That's true, really. But the stuff you don't see, they're going to sell it, and they're going to become millionaires and retire. Next.
So we have Dr. Vibe in the building,
So,
who is a popular podcaster,
I call myself an online show host.
an online show host.
So he's like us.
He's like us, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I know already people are telling me because I'm busy watching. I'm a perfectionist, so I'm watching to make sure we look good up there. And everybody's telling me, you gotta look at the camera.
Bro, we're looking
Yeah.
at the camera. We're
Yeah.
talking to each other, though.
See, this is why we got Alyssa on the show, because she keeps it real.
Exactly.
Worse
This is
than
called
me.
Real Talk.
Hashtag.
So thank you for tuning in for another edition. Those on YouTube, please subscribe. Make sure you subscribe, like us, share us, leave comments. We want to get feedback. So Mr. Vibe, Mr. Dr. Vibe,
Just say Dr. Vibe.
why don't you tell us where the doctor came from?
That came from many years ago. I worked at Adidas Canada.
Okay.
I was actually the second black employee in their office they ever hired.
Okay.
And they were doing a party. Actually, at the same time, I was working for a major record company. I was actually the first black Canadian to be hired in a marketing department at a major record company in Canada. So we're doing a Christmas party, and I was getting into the music. And there was a product manager said, "Man, you got the vibe. You're Dr. Vibe." Stuck.
So,
Oh,
so there's
that's
no PhD except for what you specialize in now, right?
No,
He
just
specializes in vibrations. Good positive vibes.
Right? Vibes.
fist bump too. Thank you. None
Come
for
on,
you.
Grant.
Okay. Yeah, so that's
So-
where the name comes from.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are
Okay.
and tell us a little bit about what your shows are about.
Okay, well, first of all, I don't do shows. I do conversations.
Okay.
As I say, for me, there's a big difference. So I've been hosting an award-winning online conversation for coming up 10 years this August.
10 years. That's a long
Wow,
time.
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And I've done over 1,500 conversations with people all over the world in regards to various subjects. Originally, the first conversation was about Michael Vick and the dogs.
Really?
Yeah. Alyssa probably wouldn't know about that.
I'm looking at like,
yeah,
well,
but Grant
that
would
is-
know. Grant
Whose
would know.
dogs?
Yeah. So for those who know, that's how far back I go. And now, geez, I get syndicated in stations in the United States, like WJMS Radio in New York. There's also the Good Men Project, the most viewed website in the world. Not the most, one of the most viewed sites in the world for men in the world. This site itself gets 2.5 million unique visitors every month from
Wow.
every country in the world. And my content is the only, international. Only online show that has a weekly spot, so I get featured every week with content.
Wow,
I also
okay.
certified empowerment coach, also crowd producer for the Mario Armstrong Show, which is the best and hottest online talk show, crowd show online on Facebook Live. So I do that, and I
So
sleep
define
once in a
crowd
while.
show.
Well, okay, think about it as a Jimmy Fallon or a Tonight Show that's
Sure.
done online.
Really?
Yes.
And they actually have a live crowd?
Live crowd, and I'm a crowd producer, so I get to give opinions and help shape direction for the show. So I'm the only Canadian person who's allowed to do that. And the show itself, the two major sponsors are Entrepreneur Magazine and FedEx Office. So they actually broadcast the show on the Entrepreneur Facebook platform.
Wow.
That's
so I'm
pretty cool.
involved with that too.
That's pretty serious.
So that's just some of the things. That's just off the top of my
Off
head.
my top of my head.
That's off the top of the head.
That's why he came to the office and he's like, so what's new? And I'm like, I don't know. You're asking me a question. I'm like, everything is new. Everything's always
Great.
new.
Well, that's the thing. She's positive productive. She's not busy. She's positive productive, just like me.
See, when you enjoy what you're doing, does it really become work?
No, it got more fun than ever. I'm enjoying what I'm doing more ever than
Did you ever
ever.
think you'd be doing this?
Yes, because of my days of college radio. I loved college radio so much. I said, some way, somehow, I'm going to get and do it online.
So what did you call yourself in college radio? Because it wasn't Dr. Vibes.
I can't even remember, but I remember my student number.
Can't
I don't
remember what I
remember.
called myself, but I do remember.
For some strange reason, I know my student number and my social insurance number. Like, so, whenever I have to give one of those.
So your social insurance number is?
Just in case you do a background check.
But the funny thing is, when I just rabble off like this, people just go, how the heck do you just know that number? Like, I don't know. Just one of the quirky things in my existence. Just know it.
I think he doesn't want to tell us his real name. That's why. You used your real name on the show, didn't you?
I don't remember. Well, I couldn't have used Dr. Vibe because that was education time, not Adidas.
You're like the Brampton Batman. When he comes in here,
Brampton
he won't tell us his real name. I mean, we found out later on.
I'm the Scarborough Superman. There you go. Or
He's the Scarborough Superman.
No, Scarborough Superman.
So we're going to have both of you on the show.
Sure. You know what I like? Your engineering is smiling. She's having a good time. So this is good.
She enjoys our show.
That's because she knows my
sees the
quirky
madness
sense of
she
humor,
knows
right?
us.
So there's at least one person enjoying this. So that's good. It all starts with one, right?
Yeah, it's true. It's
Yeah.
true. So we got to get her watching so she can add an extra view. No.
Have you subscribed on YouTube?
So
Don't
Dr.
answer
Vibe,
that.
so Dr.
Yeah.
Vibe,
Okay, well,
what,
we're structured.
Let's go back. Let's
Yeah.
go back to what we were talking about anyways.
You think?
What type of conversations do you carry on with your audience?
I don't let that carry on. No, not just joking. Whatever they want to talk about, really and truly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I see someone who does an interesting story. I reach out to them saying, "Hey, this is what I do. Would you like to come on and have a conversation about what you do?" So it can vary. Last night, Roger Dundas was on talking about the Father Project. Him
Yep.
and a gentleman from the Lions Circle.
Yep.
And then the night before, I had someone, white American lady, talking about racism in America. And then the night before that,
Which is a big subject right now. Really big and touchy.
Yeah, very big. And then the night before, I had someone from Edmonton, a white gentleman, who's very passionate about indigenous culture and how indigenous people are not being treated fairly in North America. So it can go all around the place. So that's just in the matter of 2 or 3 days. That's what I've had on. Another gentleman who writes for the HuffPost came on talk about the psychological effects on black men of lack of money, lack of economic power. So that's just all in a week.
Those are some heavy topics.
And all these, just to clarify, so all these subjects that you talk about obviously have a positive spin to it to
Yeah, well,
bring in change, right? Like,
Well, you know what? Not always. I want to have a place where people feel comfortable to express their opinions.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember a number of years ago, a gentleman named Colin, who runs a website that's basically saying that all the reports you hear about blacks not being violent, this and that, he said, no, they're all wrong. And I had him on the show because I wanted to have his opinion out there.
and how did that go?
I thought it went fine. I questioned him and all that, but you know what? He didn't swear or anything. It was just he had his stand, and I respected him.
Mm-hmm,
And that's the most important thing. One of the most important things when I get on air with someone is that you respect them, right? You always try to keep a level above the environment that you're in. So yeah, he actually sought me. I said, hey, I want to really come on your show and discuss this because I respect what you do and you respect your people that come on. I said, sure, why not?
Okay.
So
Wow.
Wow.
It got real.
Yeah, it got real quick.
No, it's wonderful to get real. Actually, quick little story. I had a gentleman who is a doctor. Well, he's now a business person from Los Angeles. Came on earlier this week. Now, this guy's seriously educated. He has his Bachelor of Science, his MD, and he also has his MBA. But he told me during our conversation online that he had to apply 500 times to get into medical school.
I'm sorry, what?
500 times?
500 times over 5 years to get into medical school.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the reason being?
I didn't go any delve.
Okay.
I had to stop myself. And when you get a statement like that and you can provide an environment for someone to be that transparent and just go, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like...
Just the fact that he kept going
But
500
like 500 times
like
over
that's
the course of how long?
5
That's
years.
the other 5 years?
Yeah. And the
Wow.
funny thing is, he's just written his second book. What's the book called? Persist.
Wow.
So
That's some persistent.
yeah.
And what's his name?
Clarence Lee Jr. If you want to touch base, then certainly get in touch with me. But the conversation's put up on my website.
I'd love to check his book out.
Yeah, and and you know what was really great, because we talked before. He said, you know what I'm going to do for you, doctor? I'm going to have a special offer for anyone who uses this reference code that includes you. I said, great. I didn't ask, but when you make people feel comfortable, they just open up, and it was great. Provided me with a great testimonial.
And this is why he's telling stuff here, because he's comfortable.
I just share. No, I just share. I just share what works and what doesn't work, right?
It's true. It's true.
Because the best way to learn is to screw up. And I've done that too.
It's true. Fail your way to success.
Fail forward, my man, and fail fast.
Wow.
Hi. How you doing?
Alyssa's really quiet today.
No,
I
I
was
was
just
listening.
listening.
I was listening
Just
to the
listening.
conversation, but
Alyssa
what we
likes to
wanted to talk about.
Yeah, she's gonna
what we
hone us
wanna-
in now, 'cause
I
we're
was
all
like,
over
it.
we're gonna go off into like left field at this point.
Transitions, they call it.
This weekend is Father's Day, as
Yes.
everyone might remember and know. So we are celebrating fathers this weekend. Last month we celebrated mothers. And I wanted to kind of talk about having a male mentor or a male role model in your life.
Have many.
Having even women having male role models, and also young men having male role models.
Now,
Sure.
before you get into that, though, we are going to break for commercials. So,
Gotta come back for the
last
juice.
you get into the juicy
we
part,
set
and
up.
then
That's
it's like,
what-
we're
that's
going to
where we're
set it
gonna
up.
go.
So make sure you keep it locked. We're talking about fathers and the important roles. We have special guest, Mr. Dr. Vibe.
He keeps
Dr.
on saying
Vibe.
Mr. Just say
Well,
Dr.
okay, well,
Vibe.
sorry,
Okay,
Dr. Vibe
okay,
in-
So Grant, before we go to break, when you go to your doctor, do you say, Mr. Doctor, how you doing?
I would, just for
Okay,
fun.
all right. I'm gonna ask your wife. if
We'll
you
be
do
right
that.
back. Make sure you keep it locked.
In a sea of people, it's easy to get lost amongst all the stories we have to tell. With this platform, a new voice is being heard, one that offers real insight to transform, educate, and inspire greatness, always building, nurturing, and evolving with the times. Our goal is to make a statement, to transform the world, and engage all of its citizens. Accepting multiculturalism is taking the first step, and listening to each other, uniting towards positive change. It's not about any one race, religion, or culture, but about uplifting and empowering one another. Standing above segregation is our game. Our vision is to expand, to create and implement change, zeroing in on what matters the most. Banding together to preserve and celebrate our heritage, cultures, and community spirit. Become inspired by real people, your friends and family, and see that impact within our society. Be proud of the work we have done together. Community focused, we are the Toronto Caribbean newspaper.
Hey guys, you're back. You're watching Real Talk with Grant and Alyssa and our special guest, Dr. Vibe.
No, mister. Very good.
So, Dr. Vibe, before we went to break, we kind of touched briefly on what we'd be talking about. And in celebration of Father's Day, I wanted to go into, male mentors and having more men share their experiences, because, again, their life experiences are, just as important as everybody else. And I find there's a lot of people are like, the women are coming out there and they're empowering themselves, and there's so many things, positive things, but I feel like sometimes the men are being forgotten.
Wow. So where do you want to start, and how long do you have?
Oh, we have all day. No,
Okay.
we don't have all day.
We got 11 minutes and 44 seconds.
Okay. So where do you want to start around men not?
So let's start with the first man in your life, which would be your father for many
Right.
of us.
Okay.
So some people grow up with a father, and some people grow up without a father. And yourself.
I grew up with a father, but I think there's another category where you can have a father physically there but not emotionally there.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think that's another category.
That's a whole other category.
So that's a whole other category. With my father, he was a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
He taught in the same school for 32 years.
32 years. He was
Wow.
a teacher. Okay.
Yeah. So when I was growing up, I felt more that I was a student than I was his son.
That's important. That's important to know.
So we and then he was the type West Indian Jamaican father. He said, "Look, you don't go out in the evenings to play until your homework is done."
Okay.
Right?
I think that's a West Indian household
That's West
thing.
Indian household thing. But when it and we had some friction. But it all changed one day when his school was celebrating their 100th anniversary. And I went and I said, okay, let me just go support. It's on a Saturday. Go down there. In the main hall, there was someone donated a grand piano, brand new grand piano. Who was it? The late Morley Safer, 60 News, 60 Minutes.
Okay.
He went to that school because in downtown Toronto, there was a very heavy Jewish population many, many years ago, then Italian, Portuguese, etc. So I went up to his classroom and I looked at my dad, and there he was speaking not only to students he was teaching at that time, but their parents. And I said, this is real, that my dad has had a positive effect on 2 generations of individuals. And then another turning point, and it's interesting because had Roger on last night, my dad about 7 years ago had a quadruple bypass operation. And being in that waiting room, not knowing if I would see him again, that was really serious.
Yeah.
You know, and the funny thing is, I remember pushing him in the gurney into the operating room and saying, hey, I'm gonna never see him again. And then after the operation was done, the first thing he said to me was, oh, I can feel my toes. I go, hold on a second. You couldn't feel your toes and you weren't telling me? Like your heart was in that bad of shape?
And he didn't tell you?
Nope. And I think even before that, another big moment was when I was younger, I used to get beat with strap. I'm sure people can relate with that, all right?
Please.
That was before
Right.
laws came in.
Yeah, exactly. And it just really bothered me. And one day I went to my dad and said, as he was lying on his bed with his stereo speakers underneath the bed, of course, Music Man. And I said, Dad, I love you, but I don't like getting beaten. And he said, you know what? That's the only thing I knew. That was all I was raised on, so that's all I could go on. That broke major ice between us. So, because I could forgive him because he knew no other way.
Yeah.
So those
That's how
are
he-
3.
That's how he learned. That's how he was
Exactly.
taught. So
But it was my job to break that cycle, and I wouldn't want to treat people like that. But at least we had a good beginning to elevate our relationship, and to the day we speak to each other at least every second day. And he says to me, look, when I have a problem, I come to you first.
how old were you when that happened?
Which one? I give 3 different things.
When you had that conversation about saying you didn't want to be beaten
Oh
anymore?
gosh, I'd say about early 20s.
Early 20s.
Like early, maybe even a little before that. But it took a long time for me to get to that point because I didn't know how he was going to react.
I was gonna ask you, like, so what was his reaction exactly? I'm sure you didn't have like a frank conversation right after.
No, but he said, hey, I knew nothing else. So he was very humble.
Yeah.
He wasn't angry. He wasn't upset.
Yeah.
He felt, if anything, a little bit sad
Yeah.
that it hurt me so much.
Yeah.
So it was a game changer.
Did
I
you think
always
you were gonna
remember
get
my-
beaten?
Yeah, well, my father used to say, it's going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt you. And I'm looking at him like, what part?
The comedian in him. You gotta do TCN comedy night.
But it's true. No, I
I
mean
know.
I get it.
Yeah.
Like, because when they beat you, and then they're just like, well, no, this is so you learn, right? But that's how they were taught.
That's how they were taught. So
That's
they
the-
know better, right?
Because now, like, even getting older, it's like having a conversation with your parents has changed. Because
Oh,
it's like,
huge,
how do you
yes.
talk to your parents sometimes, knowing that this is how our grandparents raised them, and so this is all they know. Like, sometimes I see the interaction between either my mom and her mom, or like my parents and their parents, and I'm like, oh, so that's why she does that. You know what I mean?
As they would say in Jamaica, you have sense.
Yeah.
You have sense, right? You have sense.
Yeah. So, like, even watching that happen, then I'm like, okay, so that's why, like, they'll tell me something, or they'll do something, or... And it's just, like, sometimes when you kind of play out the scenario in your head before you even go and commit to having a conversation with them. You're like, they're gonna say no if I go and ask them, so I'm not gonna go and ask them. But then you've never asked, so you never know.
You never know.
Exactly. Well, that's another thing too with my dad. As he's getting older, I'm sitting down and chatting with him more and more because I'm the eldest child. So after he's gone, it's me next.
Yeah.
And a lot of the younger people in our family will look to me to carry on the legacy. So I'm spending as much time as I can with him to just get his wisdom, and he has suggestions on how to do things, etc. Because he's lived it. So it's not on television, it's not on Facebook, it's not on Twitter, it's something real live. And like when he was growing up, he went to school at Howard University in Washington, and actually one of his teachers at Howard was Toni Morrison.
Okay.
Great author. But the funny thing, I didn't know this till a few years ago. At the time, his girlfriend, which is my mother, she was practicing nursing in Oshawa. So the first time they had a chance to meet each other, when he got into school, he took a bus from Washington to Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls to Oshawa. And this is before Highway 401 existed.
Wow. Okay.
So
And
he
we
basically
can't even deal with the 401 these days.
Exactly. So he basically spent 24 hours on a bus to see her. And he said the first time he came here, he said, you know what? As soon as I finish my schooling, I'm going to come and live in Canada.
So would you say then that it's crucial for any male to have an elder male or mentor in their life to guide them?
I think it's I don't think you should. You can do it without it, but it's easier if you do.
Because I mean, there's a lot of kids out there, that are misdirected only because of the fact that the father either left or doesn't spend time in their life, doesn't take any type of interest in their life.
It's true. It's interesting when you say that. I remember there was a survey or study done in the last year or two in the United States saying that black fathers are the most engaged fathers. So.
And is that a new study or is it an old study?
It was about 2-3 years ago.
Okay.
But it's again, this is a whole other story.
That's the thing, because I always hear I'll hear the negative side of it. It's like black male fathers are not involved in their children's lives at all.
Yeah, but you know what? Unfortunately, we've always led that we always pounce on the negative quicker than the positive.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
And there's many examples, and I know both of you probably know, and there's the listeners out there, whether you're watching live or replay, you know a lot of good black fathers.
Yep.
It's true.
Right? But what do you hear about more? All right?
You hear about the bad things. The people who left, the people who kind of just left their baby mamas.
Exactly. And another thing, especially with black fathers, on average, men do not live as long as women. So
That's because we're crazier.
well,
I mean, some would beg to differ.
Yeah, exactly. We all know that's another story, right? We ain't gonna go there. But yeah, and I think that being a black father, and I've spoken to hundreds of them, is not easy. And even up to 2 hours. 2 hours ago, I was on my way out here. Black father complaining about the court system. He wants to have some custody of his kids.
That's
And then
not
we'll give 'em
happening.
custody.
That's
It's
not.
hard,
No,
yeah.
it's hard. It's very hard. That's another show too for you guys.
Unless
Again,
the mother shows neglect or issues or something like that, it's very hard as a father to actually go if
Yes.
you're
But I
having a
feel like some
separation.
of these fathers might be better fathers than mothers.
Yeah, but you know what? In court, you can't prove that.
No.
Unless, I mean, now it's a little bit easier with video and stuff like that.
Child services.
Child services.
I'm missing something, and I don't want to interact.
No. There's no hidden message. There's
No, but that's a whole other. There's as you tell, we can talk. There's 10 million subjects that all delve down about fatherhood. But yeah, my father is my hero. That's the best thing I can say about him. He's my hero because I've seen what he's had to go through. There's so many things, and just the respect he has from so many people around the world that it just blows my mind. Even the other day, you know Denny Jolly?
No.
He founded Flow.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
right?
I sound horrible, but
No,
I'm bad with names.
No, it's
really,
okay.
really.
Yeah,
If
no,
you
it's
said,
okay.
I can
Okay.
relate things, and I'm good.
Him and Mr. Jolly went to high school together in Jamaica.
Okay.
And when Mr. Jolly, he had a book launch, and Mr. Jolly had spoken, then my dad stood up and gave like a 10-minute tribute to Mr. Jolly. And I said, man, I come from good heritage.
For sure.
I just went, wow. Like, even when we celebrated my dad's birthday, there were about 40 people that he grew up with in Jamaica there. They've known each other for years and stay in touch with each other for years.
Interesting. Sounds like your father was a really good role model for you.
I didn't think that way till like we started to make a turn in our relationship. Like, he's not perfect, but as he gets older, he gets funnier. You know?
Just because he's not scolding you no more.
He's
that's
not
why, right?
schooling me anymore.
I think they get wiser too because they learn from us.
Yes.
Yes, well, when I come to my dad's place, he always has a computer issue. I'm his computer repairman.
Yeah.
Right? And
anything technical.
Yeah, my older brother, he's the satellite dish guy. So we have our roles. Other than being sons, I'm the computer guy. My brother's a satellite dish guy. So we have our roles. So that's how we keep in his good books.
Nice. So there you have it. We're going to take a quick pause. We are in studio with Dr. Vibe, and we are talking about fathers, being that it's Father's Day, literally, 2 days from now, right?
Sunday.
On Sunday. So make sure you keep it locked. If you have any comments, please feel free to comment in the comment section on Facebook and both on YouTube, and we will get to your comments right away.
All great leaders begin with a vision to start a movement, to make a real impact in society, communicating their message and aligning themselves with like-minded people to equip and inspire others to attain their vision. Creating a vital, healthy community is a group effort, and at the heart of it, you'll find local businesses and organizations fueled by committed people who are passionate about building a better tomorrow for us all. The Toronto Caribbean newspaper has started their own movement, promising to focus on the needs of the community, seeking out relationships with businesses and corporations that share in that same mission. We are legacy builders with one shot to make a difference, and together we can empower the community by adding value, instilling self-worth, and showcasing the cultural identity of our beautiful and ethnically diverse community. As business leaders, we have a corporate responsibility to set the tone of our community with principles led by performance-focused results. By combining our reach, we can provide a platform to establish and share our contributions with the world. We are all people working for companies that are interested in building a better community, helping people stand tall and be proud of their culture. If anybody has ever done it, then you can too. We are all capable, and working together, combining our skills and resources, we can make a change and leave behind an unforgettable legacy.
Welcome back. Oh, I cut you off. You go ahead.
I wasn't going to say anything, but welcome back.
She was just smiling.
See, this is why I host shows by myself, but that's a whole other
It's
story.
all good. You're tuned into Real Talk. We're like lost for words today. Anyway,
Not me.
and our engineer is killing herself laughing at us. But anyways, our show today is on fathers and the importance of having role models in a child's life. And
Male role models.
Male
Male
role
role
models,
models,
yes. And before the break, Dr. Vibe was talking about his experience with his father, who was an amazing role model. And you said he's turning 80 this year?
Just 2 months ago, we held the
Wow.
80th birthday party for him, and it was great because the second last person to speak was him, and I was the last person to speak. And he was crying when I was saying my thoughts about him, and I will never forget that moment as long as I live. It was just that moment alone. You never forget that. And life is just a lot of decisions and moments. So it was a decision to do that, and those moments won't be forgotten. Like, he's still talking to people, but he calls me, oh man, I was looking at those pictures again. I go, that's 2 months ago. Just enjoy. As long as he's enjoying, it's all good.
That means he's proud.
And he's happy.
Yeah.
He's happy. That's the most important thing.
Definitely.
So, while we were on break, I was asking Grant if he would be okay sharing his own experience. I mean, it's not a big deal, but whatever. But yeah, with your experience, growing up with your father, and how it's kind of changed how you parent your own children.
Yeah, my father was very different from your father. My father grew up, his father died, I believe, when he was 9 years old. His father was had a massive heart attack and just died on the spot. So he was brought up with his mother, who was very cynical, very negative. She had to do what she had to do in life to obviously survive. He was an only child. And like we were talking about on break, I think what happened was when we were kids, he kind of didn't break that cycle. So it was exactly what he was taught. So my father was always, kids should be seen in a herd.
I was that way for a number
go
of years.
play.
Yep.
I would get my ass whooped all the time. It was around 15 years old when my parents split up. Was when everything changed, and not for positive, but for the negative. It got worse, and he became an alcoholic, and to the point where I ended up living on the streets for a while. And it was my mother that took me in. Now, the reason why I tell that story is it's not. There's always a happy ending eventually, right? As long as you choose to go out.
Well, there has to be a happy ending. We have Grant here with us today.
No, but you know what's funny is, I mean, I've talked about this story many times, is there was 3 of us that were living there at the time, because I had stepbrothers that later on, and out of the 3 of us, the 3 boys had the same experience. We all lived on the streets. 2 of us have businesses and are making a difference in the world.
Positive difference.
Third guy, the third person, has been in and out of jail. He's a coke dealer. He's all these different things. He's been running, prostitutes, all these different things. And every time he gets in trouble, it's 25 years later, whatever it is. Maybe not that old. Yeah, no, that would be 50. Not that long ago. But he uses that time as his crutch. Always. Oh, you don't understand. I lived on the streets. And I'm like, dude, we all lived on the streets. But life, I believe, is about decisions. And when I say that is you can go out and you could find people that could be that positive male role model in your life. And it was later on, I ended up moving to my mother's. Her husband, which she's still with now, was a great role model for me. He taught me lots of things. And also my uncle. My uncle was my first mentor. And he taught me everything that I know today about business and how, people's skills, all these different things. Sometimes I lack them, but
You're not perfect.
But nobody's perfect, right? But I give him a million times over credit. And my mother was an awesome influence. I mean, she was female, but she honestly did the role of what my father didn't.
It's good stuff. When did you begin to make the turn to a better life? Was there a moment or event?
Yeah. There was my turn to a better life. So I moved with my mother, and I was still struggling to find myself in what I wanted to do, because when I moved with my mother, she gave me the ultimatum of either go to school or get a job, but either way I really can't afford to have you here. But I mean, she knew the circumstances, and I took that over eating garbage, right? So and living on the streets. So I chose to work. I went and I started working, and I tried some different businesses. I always was an entrepreneur internally, and they failed. And I remember at the point that my uncle actually stepped up and stepped in, I was sitting in Tim Hortons all the time. Back then you could smoke. I smoked 2 packs a day. I used to smoke weed like crazy. My highlight of my day was playing dominoes. Right? And I remember my uncle coming to me, and I talk about this all the time now. He gave me an ultimatum. He said, I'll help you, but I want you to listen to these recordings, these different things, trainings. Yeah. And he said, I wanted to be like him so bad at the time because I looked up to him. He was the guy that was always self-employed.
Is he still alive?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. And he knows exactly what I'm doing. And he taught, I mean, I think one of the hardest things, besides my mother always telling me how proud she is, the hardest thing was having him come. It was the first time he did it was a couple weeks ago. And he said, I watch everything you do. And from looking back when you lived on the streets to where you are now, I'm like proud. Like, I can't believe what you have accomplished,
What did you say back to him when he said that?
Thank you, and welled up.
And everyone cried.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, so it's really important. I mean, for the males that are out there, even at male and female. I mean, the thing is that if you don't, it's important even for a girl to have a father in their life. And my sister went through the same struggles.
Yeah, because people don't realize when you're growing up, if the father's there, that's the impression of manhood
Yes.
you're getting. Whether it's right or wrong, that's the direct impression of manhood you're getting.
You just assume that all men are like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And that even has effect, positive and negatively, with ladies growing up, because there are a lot of ladies out there that have their impression of men that they meet based on their dad or the man that raised them.
But touching on that, I want to say one thing. To me personally, I'm grateful for the experiences that I've gone through, and the reason why is because today, every parenting decision I make on my experience as a child, and realizing that wasn't the right way to do it.
Exactly.
Right? And today, I mean, my kids have a very different life. They drive me crazy sometimes, but what kid doesn't, right?
True.
But I mean, they're awesome kids, right? And I mean, it's only because of my mother and my uncle that really taught me a lot, in life skills.
Well, one of the things I say to men who have kids, especially if they're in their early days of having kids, like in their 20s or 30s, I said, look, one day you're going to pass away.
Yes.
Probably your kids are going to live longer than you. You wish the best of them. You wish that they have a home. First of all, will there be a picture of you in that home?
Yep.
And if someone asks about the person in that picture, what do you want your kids to say?
That's a really interesting way of looking at it.
And and I take it a step further. It's not even your kids, but what about your kids' kids?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
what are they going to say about their great grandfather?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So I always, whenever I share that with a man, there's silence, because they're processing that thought process. And I said, good. I done good. I made them simmer for a little bit. I take them out of the zone, simmer it a little bit.
And it's really important. As a male, guys, I mean, we're a lot of fathers that are out there. Yeah, go ahead.
There's a difference between a male and a man. I don't deal with males. I want to deal with men.
But that's what I'm saying, is that if you are a father,
Especially single ladies. Go on.
if you are a
I'm
father,
I love it.
guys, you need. I've seen fathers that have literally walked away from their kids,
Yep.
and have said stuff like, they're better off with the mother, right? And because it's a selfish thing, because they want to go out and have fun, or they don't want that responsibility. Guys, if real talk, I mean, if you're man enough to stick it in her and impregnate, and I'm sorry, Alyssa, but if you are, Chelsea's laughing, man, you got to be man enough to deal with the shit that comes after, right?
Well, I'll take it a step further. You don't have to have biological children to be a father.
My
It's true.
stepfather was like that.
And I'm going to take it another further. You can be a father, and the people you're fathering may not be related to you and may be older than you.
Yeah.
You said something earlier. You said that you were practicing. You said you were practicing
Why?
being
Now
a father.
you're going.
Now we're gonna bring it out. We're gonna bring
No,
it.
you said you were practicing being a father. What did that mean exactly?
There's so many different ways. No kids yet.
Okay.
I'm practicing.
Uh-huh.
So think it through.
You're practicing to be
get
a father.
kids.
He's gathering intel.
Yes, I am, from the U.S. government. Thank you.
So Alyssa,
Yeah?
That's the thing, that there are so many men that I speak to all around the world that come to me for thought process. That I feel like a father, because they're trusting me and confiding in me to
With
help
personal
them
information
become
too, yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, 2 or 3 years ago, I don't know if I was coming from here. Maybe I was. But somewhere in the Northwest Territories, Brampton, because I live in Scarborough, that I was driving. It was a Saturday morning, and I called up a gentleman who's a chef. And he said, hey, can we talk? I said, sure. We spent 2.5 hours, him sharing how much mental illness he's suffering, and depression. So there was a situation where I was the dad and he was, for lack of a word, the kid. So fathering comes in many different forms, many different situations, and it doesn't have to be a lifetime. It can be 5 seconds, it can be 5 minutes. right? It's just so important that men need to know to father each other.
So let's flip the script for a second here and put Alyssa in the hot seat,
He
because
must put me in the hot seat.
and no, the reason why I want to put her in the hot seat is because we've gotten two male perspectives. I want a female perspective on the importance of a father. We do have to go to break though, so when we come
I'll
back,
provide you with one.
that way during break I can find out where we can go and where we can't go. So
Go anywhere.
so when we come back, we're gonna get a female perspective, on the importance of fathers. So we'll be right back.
When we are born, the world is a foreign place. We have not yet mastered the use of our five senses, and our eyes cannot decipher the complexities of judgments we do not know. As children, our innocence allows us to see a world of endless possibilities. We thrive in the world of imagination, creating a place where everyone writes a unique story, and there is zero judgment, since everyone is the same, yet unique in their own way. Over the years, humanity has altered our ways of thinking, creating stigma, judgment, and prejudice based on the history of our ancestors. We have trained ourselves to believe that our history puts us at a disadvantage in society. Our unique and exotic classifications are a testament to the diversity of the world. History doesn't have a future. It's set in stone. The possibility for change lies in our responsibility to know our self-worth, learning from the history, embracing and honoring our heritage, while educating, inspiring, and empowering others to see past what's in front of them to the power inside. It's not about what you look like. It's about realizing the potential of humanity and recognizing the greatness in everyone. It's time to invest in solutions, change the conversation, and think differently about our future. Life isn't a competition of who can do better than the other. It's about eradicating prejudice, boosting self-esteem, discovering our identity, and carving out our own legacy while aspiring to achieve greatness.
We are back. I always say the best things happen during a break. If you guys actually see,
We're like,
there's a new
gather
host.
yourself.
Yeah, we
have an off-camera host.
Off-camera host.
yeah.
Chelsea.
So big shouts out to Chelsea, who
What up,
is our engineer in the
Chelsea?
background, who
Good.
is doing an amazing job
Yeah.
working all the commercials and the transitions and everything like that. Big shouts out to Nicole Reed and Dave Rankin. Guys, if you are watching on Facebook, be sure to leave your comments. We want to hear
Dave,
from you.
hey, Nicole.
We are talking today, being that Father's
Comments,
Day.
questions,
You know,
shout-outs,
feedback,
Father's Day
you know.
shout-outs.
We are talking about fathers today and the importance of their role in kids' lives, and not even kids, later on adult lives. We've heard from two male perspectives. Big shouts out to Dave, wonderful show family. We've heard from two male perspectives. And I know Alyssa is daddy's girl, so I know this is going to be a very difficult thing.
It's not really a difficult thing for me. Yes, I'm a daddy's girl. That's just, I think it's a known fact. Just people who know me in general, who know my dad, who know my parents, things like that, they know that I'm a daddy's girl. It's funny because me and my dad's kind of, our birthdays lined up around the same time, so we're also the same horoscope.
Okay.
And my mom always, like, she was just like, oh yeah, your father will do anything for you, this, that, and next. Like, my dad's the kind of guy too, he really does do anything. If I need something, he's there. If I want, like, a cup of tea in the nighttime, my dad will go and make this cup of tea. It could be like 1 o'clock in the morning, my dad's still making this cup of tea for me. Like, it's unreasonable. And I know that because I'm spoiled. And then my mom just gets mad at him because he'll always take my side. So it's one of those things. But I understand my dad because we kind of have a similar personality. If anything, I'm louder than my dad because my dad's a very quiet, reserved kind of guy. But between us, it's a lot of unspoken communication. It's like, I know how he's feeling, so I won't kind of press certain things. I won't even really, like, have certain discussions with him because it's like, I kind of already know how he'll feel. most of the time it's probably sitting down having like a verbal communication, because I find that sometimes it's like, well, how do I talk to Alyssa? That's usually how it is. I think both my parents are like that, to be honest, though.
There's just a myriad of things running in my head.
Yeah, go ahead.
In that, there's also, and this is another show too. What are the men out there, or the males out there, who are not fathers but want to be fathers? What they go through on a day like that. And also, I'm going to challenge your audience. If your father's alive, is there something you want to tell your father that you haven't told him yet? Because if your father passes away, it's going to be too late.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. I think it's hard to communicate your feelings with your father sometimes. And I see that between I have two brothers. I have two younger brothers, and I find it's very similar with them. And sometimes my dad will tell me things, but he won't tell my brothers. And I'm like, why can't you go tell them? And he'll like send me to communicate the same message that I'm like, you could have just told them, kind of thing. But he finds
because he knows you're gonna whip him into shape.
Yeah, he finds it easier to just tell me and let me communicate the message that way. But I find that's one of the most challenging things as a daughter. Talking to your father and having that conversation. It's like most of the time it's like, okay, I have this issue. Let me go talk to mom. And then sometimes mom's usually mad at you, so it's like, okay, well, let me go talk to dad. Kind of. But that's kind of where I stand, especially with my own father. And I know that if I didn't have a father, I think I'd be a very different person, because I have boys in my life, I have men in my life, like I have my brothers in my life, and I have my dad in my life. And I think they kind of shape who I am. They kind of toughen me up. I'm able to handle a lot more things differently than if I only had sisters or if I just had a mother in my life. So, yeah.
You did good.
She did very good. Very
unrehearsed, and just bam, you're a pro.
Unscripted.
Can you teach me how to do these things?
It's just a real talk conversation.
Okay, all right.
Casual conversation.
Can you teach me how to real talk?
Real talk? Teach you how to real talk?
We'll swing it back to Dr. Grant.
Oh, here we go. What is it? Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Mr. Grant.
So Grant, you have a daughter.
I do.
Grant has a daughter. She's just turned 9.
Yes.
And what's it like being a father to her?
You know what? When she was born, she stole my heart. Really and truly. And as much as we quarrel once in a while, and it's just because she is me to a T. Like creative wise, everything. As a father, it's not even just my daughter, it's both my kids. You can learn so much if you take your ego out of the way and really pay attention to them. You can learn so much. I can't tell you how much stuff I've learned from my kids. Really and truly. Like, I mean, they're wise before their time, and they go ahead.
My favorite thing is when they argue with you. So when she argues,
we don't argue.
When she argues with you, and the fight that comes out of that is hilarious, because it's like, I want to fight with her, but I know she's right, kind of thing. And it's like, she's right because she has my logic.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And I mean, I see the same thing like with me and my dad. Like, me and my dad will fight about something and like be over it in all of like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But the conversation and the fight that happens, it's like, oh my god, I don't understand why you're like this. And then it's like, okay, but we're cool, it's fine. Whereas if it's me and my mom, we can be mad for like a week.
And we've seen this.
Oh. Oh wow! Is it a real
so, Auntie, if you're listening,
TMZ file?
Yeah, no. See, if my mom's listening, she'll be like, "Alyssa, you can't say things like that on the TV."
Oh my gosh! Like she's on.
Yeah,
but you're not saying anything bad because you also said how awesome.
Listen,
she is,
I'm saying the truth.
She's saying out of love.
I say it out of love. I say it out of the
truth.
truth.
Out of love,
I mean, this is my own experience. This is like real life, real talk. I'd rather people understand like, yeah, I'm a real person. This is how I live my life. This is how I deal with my parents, how I deal with my friends, family, coworkers, things like that.
I would encourage, especially the guys out there, to find out your father's story. Whether your father is alive or not, find out his story. And especially if you're not having the greatest relationship with your father, again, if he's around or not, because it may bring some relatability on why your father is the way he is. because, as I said, I didn't until my dad started really chatting. Now I can understand, I can relate, all those things. It's sort of, we can understand each other. We may not always agree, but we understand each other. So I think, and daughters too, find out your dad's story.
My grandfather's still alive too.
Yeah,
my
there
dad's
you go.
my dad's father is still alive, so we do, like, I go and see him. He used to live with us for a little while as well, and I mean, I was a lot younger, so at that point I didn't really even care much to know about the background of the history of the stuff. But I recently I saw a bunch of my family, and a lot of the cousins now, we're all older, so we're all trying to find out kind of about the past generations. We're trying to find out kind of where we came from, what our roots are.
Yep.
Kind of, they all came, like, my great grandparents came from India, and we don't know where, when, why, how, like, when they came over, the struggles that they dealt with, what kinds of, like, stuff they did when they started working, and, kind of how the family kind of expanded and dispersed.
It's important.
Yeah.
It's very, very important. Like, my dad will tell me about stuff that went on in Jamaica, and a lot of times in Jamaica, I actually went to the house that he was raised in.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that was a very significant
And that's
thing
crazy to see. Like,
Yeah.
even my grandfather's house, too, it's still there. He lives downstairs. The upstairs they don't really use anymore. But my dad has 8 siblings.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they all used to live in this house, and, like, 6 people,
and what was your feeling when you went to that house?
It was crazy. I'm like, how many people, like, live in this house? And my dad has, like, 5 sisters. So
Wow.
5 sisters. Like, I have no sisters, so I can't even dealing with just, like, the space
Can
that
you
I
imagine
have.
the bathroom?
Yeah, I'm like, girl, how do you
5
know?
sisters. I'm just joking around there, but it's true.
No, but it's a real thing. Like, 5 sisters having to, constantly be in each other's space all the time. Like, just even having siblings in general is a pain in the ass.
So on that note, so Dr. Vibe, quickly, because we are coming to the end of the show already.
Yeah, what's up?
So let's leave everybody with a message. Reprogramming. For those young, maybe new fathers that have gone through experiences like we've talked about and stuff like that, the cycle doesn't have to continue. You're able to stop it and make a new cycle.
Mm-hmm.
What are some advice that you would offer?
Well, before you mentioned that, something came into my mind that if you're a good father, it's not about you.
Exactly.
I think that just resonates in my mind, that when you think outside of yourself as a father, as a man, then you're going to have positive impact. And a lot of times it's an impact of people you don't even know, male, female, gay, whatever. That it's not about you. It's bigger than you.
Mm-hmm.
I always say I was doing a presentation sharing with about 50 people, entrepreneurs, on Monday. I said, it's not all about you, and I'm going to prove it. Last I checked, it wasn't a stork that brought you in this world. It took 2 people, right? So it's not about you, unless you watch the Flintstones or something like that, right? It's not about you. So I think, and people may flack me on this, but challenge me, it's not easy being a father.
It's true.
Let's be real. It's not easy being a father. It's not easy being a mother either.
I don't think it comes as easily as, some people have maternal instinct. That's what they say. Women have maternal instinct.
Look, ask fathers this question. Were you prepared to be a father?
No, I don't think you could be. I'm not even a father, but I'd be like, I don't see how you could be ready.
And I think the way that most of us are raised, I don't want to sound sexist here, but ladies are given more of a thought process about family, raising kids, and things are changing.
Oh,
but
it's
still,
because it's like your civil duty to the world.
you're right. Whereas guys,
It's not
a
because of that.
lot of men are just taught, or males are taught, work. We're not even thinking about family. We're thinking about work, achieve. So I challenge yourself, if you're a guy out there, if you're a father, think about, how did you learn to become a father? Be proud that you're a father. And then say, what can I do to leave a positive impact with my family and the people I don't know? Get up every day saying, how can I help someone each day?
And remember too, I mean, you're the influence, and you're going to be the carbon copy. Your kids are going to be the carbon copy of what you create, right? So are you going to put the right efforts in, so that way when you're older, that first off, they want to talk to you?
Mm-hmm.
That's important. And second of all, are they going to be able to do things you're proud of?
Well, the thing is, are you going to leave a positive impact or a negative impact? That's really, that's That's it. Engineer is tapping her wrist.
Yeah, so we are done for today. So guys, to all the fathers out there, happy Father's Day. Make sure you keep it locked. We are back
Spend
with
some
the
time
gloves
with
are
your
off.
kids this weekend.
Every day.
Spend some time with
even
your
if it's
kids.
calling them.
Yeah.
Dr. Vibe, thank you
Pleasure's
very
mine
much.
to come out to Brampton.
Mr. Dr. Vibe.
Mr. Dr. Vibe.
Really.
So guys, make sure you please comment even after the fact. We'd love to get your input on things.
Thanks to everybody watching live and on the replay. And
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to say congratulations on TCN.
Thank
making
you.
the big step on to YouTube. Outstanding. And wishing you nothing but positive vibes.
Awesome. So
Dr.
guys,
Vibe.
until next week, real
They'll be
talk.
back next week.
Well,
I'll
that's
be
all,
back
folks.
next week.
They'll be back next
Our
week.
engineer is giving us heck right now. We are done. Guys, we'll see you next week.
Be well. Keep the faith.
Thank you.